Biden got the call, and it was Obama, Pelosi, former Speaker of the House, Chuck Schumer, Majority Leader, Hakeem Jeffries, current House Minority Leader of the Democrats in the House, and they said, we got Kamala on board to invoke the 25th. If you don't drop the nomination, that's what's going to happen. The thing is, you were saying they're not invoking the 25th. He's still president.
Right, but I'm saying if there was a time that they were going to do that, this would be that time.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Leftist Losers Show, where we point out all of the losers of the left. And today I got a clip from the Joe Rogan Experience where he had on Michael Malice to talk about the current affairs in politics, and they talked about Kamala Harris, not surprisingly, right? And Joe Rogan, I think in the last couple of weeks, has talked about and tweeted that he thinks Kamala Harris is probably going to win. And I don't know if that's because, he thinks that people are going to vote for her en masse, which maybe he's kind of buying to that fake hype train that the media has been manufacturing, or if he just thinks that the establishment's going to, quote unquote, guarantee that she wins and run a shadow campaign. We know they're running a shadow campaign. I mean, they ran one last time. They're definitely going to run one again. They bragged about that in the Times Magazine article. But either way, in this episode, they get into the details of how they think Joe Biden was forced out of the candidacy, and I just thought it was pretty interesting and a good conversation. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into this clip from the Joe Rogan Experience, and let me know while you're watching this what you guys think in the comments down below. Let's go ahead and jump in.
So this is like when you go to visit the Coliseum and you're like, what happened to these people? This is us. This is us. It's just we're very fortunate to be in the middle of it and watching it all play out.
There's that meme of Jesus.
Yes.
Matthew McConaughey smoking a asteroid. No, he goes flooded again.
Oh, that's funny. I saw it send in the asteroid. I saw it the other day. I guess there's a bunch of those. Like, what the fuck, man?
When you're dealing. The thing is, the gaslighting is what bothers me.
Well, it all bothers me. It all bothers me, the fragility of the human mind. So everybody forever was like, Kamala Harris is the worst vice president. She's the least popular vice president of all time. And then in a moment in time, all of a sudden she's our solution. She's our hero. Everybody's with her. All these social media posts about her. Try Googling a negative story on her. You won't find one.
So,
ta-da!
Okay, you've got me started, Officer Harris. So, they've been doing this live for years. So in 2019, our pal Tulsi absolutely nuked her in that second debate.
Yeah, well, what Joe Rogan's failing to identify here is it's a cult. He knows it's a cult. I mean, he's talked about it in his show before, but the Democratic Party and the people who support the Democrats are in a cult, 1,000%. And you have to be in the Democratic Party. If you buy into the mainstream media and you just, you ever see the meme where it's the NPC and there's a little panel on the back of their head and the panel opens up and there's a chip in there and it says whatever the current issue is and they rips the chip off and installs the new one. That's literally what just happened. Kamala Harris was a terrible candidate, and he's about to talk about, Michael Malice here, how Tulsi Gabbard absolutely destroyed her in the Democratic primary in 2019 and actually was the reason she dropped out in the first place. People even on the Democrats were like, yeah, Kamala Harris is not good. She's not a good candidate in any way, shape, or form. She's got no real policy positions. She's completely fake, manufactured. We don't want her. And she only got picked by Joe Biden because she was a brown woman. And he said that, openly said that. He was picking a brown woman because of that, because she's a brown woman. And I think on top of that, because she did so bad in the primaries, she had no leverage over Joe Biden. She wasn't bringing any voters or anything to the table, so she couldn't get him to do anything. It was perfect for him. It's just a perfect puppet VP. And what we're seeing right now is the new microchip. They just told all their NPC followers, everybody in the Democratic cult, hey, no, we're going to put Kamala Harris in the position now, so you guys support her. And all of them, like a light switch, just instantly are like, yeah, Kamala Harris is amazing, woo! And they all follow it. It's ridiculous. And they'll say Donald Trump supporters are a cult, even though I've seen Trump supporters wearing MAGA hats, criticizing Trump for stuff all the time. If you go watch his rallies, they boo him when he says stuff about the vaccine. They boo him for stuff all the time. They don't do that in the Democratic Party. They might, complain, but they will follow in lockstep whatever the machine tells them to follow. And Joe Rogan, he knows that. It'd be nice if he would say that because he's said it before, but that is the case.
And if you looked at charts at the time, she's kind of, Officer Harris is like doing okay. First debate she comes out, Joe Biden, you're a racist. The Democrats were looking for an alternative to Bernie Sanders that wasn't Biden. She starts going up in the polls, right? Second debate comes out. Tulsi, being a good Hawaiian, knows how to roast the pig, just completely slams her. Not only that, she has no counterpunch. She goes on Anderson Cooper and she's like, well, I'm a top tier candidate, so of course people are going to take shots at me. That's her answer. She immediately starts going down in the polls. It's that day. You can see it on the chart I have on my Twitter. All the articles at the time that did an autopsy on Kamala Harris's failed campaign didn't mention Tulsi once.
Yeah.
It was BBC, LA Times, Reuters, New Yorker. A guy from the Washington Post just did a piece looking back on her campaign, didn't mention Tulsi either.
Isn't that wild?
They completely pretend it didn't happen.
Well, it just shows you that what they're looking for is not what they say they're looking for.
Yes.
Because she is a strong woman. She is a person who served overseas twice. She in a medical unit, so she got to see people blown up by the war. She was a congresswoman for 8 years.
Yeah.
She is a person of color. She's everything you want. All those things you want.
But
and yet you don't want her.
Because she's not for war.
Yes.
'Cause
Well,
not for
she's
the war
also
mission.
just not willing to play ball. There's a game that's being played. And if you're like, hey, you're not supposed to fucking move the ball. Like, oh, look at this bitch over here. Like, get out of here. You're going to fuck up our game. It's not real democracy. It's controlled parties.
Did you see that piece by Seymour Hersh that dropped over the weekend?
And there it is. He just said it. That's exactly right. And that's why they're testing the waters with Kamala Harris. This whole situation that the Democrats have put us in right now, where they didn't even hold a primary. Well, they held primaries technically, but Joe Biden was pretty much the only person on it, and he was voted for by the people. The Democratic establishment, the elites, and any of the Republicans that support the Democratic establishment right now, any of the establishment Republicans, I'll just say that support this current situation, they are testing the waters for implementing a political system similar to communist China. And I know that sounds hyperbolic, but it's the truth. What does the Communist Party do to select leaders? Well, everybody in the Communist Party gets to make a decision and vote, from my understanding, for new communist leaders and who's going to be like the supreme leader and all that kind of, whatever other titles they have. That's pretty much what's happening now. The Democratic elites, the people who are at the top of the Democratic Party, are the ones that are picking Kamala Harris, the super delegates or whatever, the same ones that took away the candidacy from Bernie Sanders in 2016, which, to be fair, now we know Bernie Sanders was just a puppet and a joke anyways, but at the time, thinking he was a populist like Trump, they just ripped that away from him because he didn't play ball, as Michael Malice and Joe Rogan just said. And that's exactly why, like they were saying, the establishment would never support Tulsi Gabbard, and that's why Tulsi came out and switched from Democrat to independent and has now been kind of leaning towards the Trump MAGA movement, not because she's, a right-winger or supports a lot of the same policy, but because she looks at people on the right and more like the freedom movement, people like your Matt Gaetz and people like him, as level-headed people who actually care about the issues and the truth and want to get to the truth and the bottom of things and actually solve problems. It's the same reason why I think they didn't hold a primary this time, the Democrats, I should say, because I think RFK is another populist. Now, whether you like RFK or not, I think he was in the same situation as Bernie Sanders, and the Democrats saw him as basically another Bernie Sanders, and so they didn't want to hold a legitimate primary and let him in because they knew he'd probably win, and the establishment would have nobody on their team. I think that's also the reason why they wanted to kill Trump. Whether you believe it was an inside job or not, I think the establishment would have loved for Trump to be, offed, because then you got who's in line next? Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley has the next most delegates of the Republican Party, at least before the convention. And so if Trump had gotten assassinated when he did, Nikki Haley could have stepped up to that podium at the convention, pissed off, fake pissed off about it, like, oh, we got to go after the people that took on Trump and blah, blah, blah. And I think that's why that narrative of, Iran was a threat that weekend and was looking to try to murder Trump, I think that they put that out there for like 10 seconds because that was probably their plan. They were going to put out the narrative that Iran was a threat and was actively seeking to, attack politicians in the United States. Trump gets killed. They put the blame on Iran, which they've been trying to start wars with Iran for years now. That gives them casus belli to start a war. Nikki Haley gets up on stage and goes, well, Joe Biden dropped out and we need to go after the people that took on that, that killed Trump and, took down our party leader and blah, blah, blah. And we should go and we should end Iran and destroy the regime and get payback for what they did. And then she gets voted in a landslide. She's already an establishment puppet. We all know her background at this point, which is why nobody wanted to vote for her besides Democrats, hoping she'd stop Trump. And I think that was their plan all along. Nikki Haley, I think, was supposed to be the next establishment player. Kamala Harris is a good backup plan. I think that's their plan now. They're hoping they can manufacture the hype and get the people in the Democratic cult to just march in lockstep and vote for her. Vote blue no matter who, baby, and get Kamala Harris in office, because Kamala Harris doesn't have actually any agenda other than just benefiting herself. So she'll just do whatever she's told to do as long as she gets to maintain her current personal position. And she will if she wins. And like I said at the beginning, I kind of got off track, but they're testing the waters too. Like I said, for implementing a system like the Communist Party, because if the people vote for Kamala Harris and accept Kamala Harris as the president when she never got any primary votes to be the president, they've effectively just proved that they can start picking candidates for the presidency with no input from the people, and we'll just accept it. Effectively ending the Republic of the United States. We will no longer be a republic at that point. I'm not saying it in like a hyperbolic, the whole country is going to burn to the ground kind of way. I mean, literally, if the people accept the oligarchy or the elites picking candidates with us having no say on who those candidates are, and we just go along with it, that's effectively a sign that we are now an oligarchy as a country. We've kind of operated as an oligarchy thanks to the crappy two-party system for a long time. But once the people start accepting that the elites just get to decide all that stuff, that's it. The republic's over. It's gone. We're not operating as a republic anymore. The elites just do what they want, and we just pretend we get to do elections between the two candidates. But if the elites pick both candidates and there's no real primaries anymore, then did we really get to vote on who it was? They could just put two puppets up there and they don't care who wins because it's going to be the same thing no matter what, which again, I know a lot of people think that's already been the case, and it kind of already has been the case, but now it'll just be blatant in the open, officially. So that's the real scary thing about Kamala Harris, is it's like the nail in the coffin for the Republic. If we vote for Kamala Harris and she wins and people just accept it, that's it. The Republic's gone. And it's a very scary thing.
Again, about the coup?
Yes. So explain to people what Seymour Hersh, I don't know if he's right, but it seems to be right a lot. And he was right about the Nord Stream pipeline, right?
What I was saying, and a lot of other people were saying, is the big issue is, how do you get Biden out of the White House? So here's Biden's case. He's like, look, I got Trump out of the White House last time. I'm only behind 2 or 3 points in the polls. Kamala's polling worse than me in like 8 out of 10 polls. I won these delegates. Why the hell should I back down? And that's a very solid case. Jill, for the first time in her life, people care about her. She matters. As Hunter put it, I have it exactly here. She's a selfish, silly, entitled cunt. That was how Hunter described her.
Whoa.
Yeah, we have the text. And then all the public pressure, Biden, you got to drop out, Biden got to drop out, Biden got to drop out. Nancy Pelosi's a gangster. I wouldn't want to fuck with her. I wouldn't want to fuck with Mitch McConnell. These people don't mess around. And everyone said, or a lot of people said, they're going to have to go to threats. Because why else would he step down? He's earned it, that presidency, and he's earned the nomination.
But if there was ever a time to invoke the 25th Amendment, wouldn't you think this is the time?
Sure, but I don't think hold on. Here's the thing. Let's talk about this. So Seymour Hersh, who's been around D.C. since the 60s, I believe he wrote The Dark Side of Camelot, if I'm not mistaken. He had a thing on his Substack that goes, Biden got the call, and it was Obama, Pelosi, former Speaker of the House, Chuck Schumer, Majority Leader, Hakeem Jeffries, current House Minority Leader of the Democrats in the House, and they said, we got Kamala on board to invoke the 25th. If you don't drop the nomination, that's what's going to happen. The thing is, you were saying they're not invoking the 25th. He's still president.
Right, but I'm saying if there was a time that they were going to do that, this would be that time.
And I think that's exactly right. I think the fact that Biden just dropped out all of a sudden, when he was saying openly over and over and over again in interviews that he wasn't going to do that, I think that's exactly why. Because why else would he? I mean, he won it fair and square. Why would he drop out? It makes no sense at all for him to just give that up when he worked hard for it, even though his health was failing. And I think the fact that they brought up Jill Biden, Jill Biden. Let me make sure I pronounce that correctly. Yeah, I don't think she wanted to give up the power either. And I think just like, Michael Malice was saying, she's selfish and entitled and enjoys being the first lady and doesn't want to give that up, no matter how badly it hurts Joe Biden's health or how much he, degrades in that position. Because at the end of the day, I don't think he was really running anything. I think she was probably handling a lot of it. Kamala Harris, I don't think was handling anything, but I think their staffers were doing pretty much all of the work. And Joe Biden was just a puppet. He was just filling in that space. And so I think it makes sense that, a lot of the senators and other leaders in the Democratic Party had to give him the call, as he says, and threaten to get him out of there and probably threaten his family, because these people are terrible people and they will do that. And again, back to what I was saying earlier, the scary thing is they just installed a candidate. Joe Biden dropping out after the primaries and them just unanimously deciding it's going to be Kamala Harris when nobody voted for her to be president. And we're still in an election, which means they could have had a primary. This could have happened before. Like, we know his health was bad for years. We've been talking about this for years, but the media and our leadership were gaslighting us constantly, saying, no, he's fine. It's just he's had a stutter his whole life, even though there's zero evidence that he's ever had a stutter. But that's the narrative they pushed because it was the convenient thing for them to do to get what they want, to manipulate. And it's disgusting. And it's not surprising because they've always done it and they always will do it. And that's why we have to keep pushing back against them. And that's why the internet is so bad for them and they want to censor people. And they liked having the big tech companies censor people like on Twitter and Facebook. And that's why Elon Musk was demonized when he bought X and was trying to open it up as much as he has, because they can't fight the narrative. And that's why AI is actually really beneficial for them as well. Because the second AI starts becoming a problem with, faking all these videos and these voice lines and stuff, they're going to be able to put doubt on everything you see. There already is doubt on everything we see on the internet now, but it's going to get a million times worse. And it's going to bring back a time where, you're only going to trust things that come from officials, even though you shouldn't, but regular people will. They already trust them. They will continue to trust them. And it's going to allow them to maintain power. Right. And it's a scary thing. It's a scary thing. Excuse my language, by the way, but it's a scary thing. And it is what it is. If you guys like this video, please like and subscribe to the channel or comment down below what you guys think. Or if you hated it, tear me apart in the comments. I just appreciate the engagement either way. And I will talk to you guys in the next video.